I'm Dorothy Godin, broker 3 Max Crown Realty, and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Well, so far in the month of August, and we're towards the end, of course, 46% of all the residential sales in the city of Greater Sudbury have sold at or above list price. And on average, they're selling about 1% above list price. It's quite a softening from the crazy market that we had. What I notice more in this market is the average sale price is still great for sellers. The sellers shouldn't be complaining. Yes, they missed the boat, but on average, sale price this year compared to last year, year to date, is still up 22%. And from 2020, I believe it's 50%. So sellers, who are kind of complaining now that they missed the market, yes, you've missed that crazy market. We are now into a market where we see negotiations going back and forth, counters going back and forth, and we see conditional offers. And so I know a lot of people who have been looking for a house in the last year, year and a half, 2 years, are not used to conditional offers. They're used to cash offers, and a lot of people just couldn't compete in that market. So now, even in a multiple situation, we may see that all the offers come in with some kind of condition. And of course, normal conditions are financing and home inspection. I would just say in this market, if you're new to the market and new to all this conditional offers, remember that it's very common to have a counter offer and to go back and forth a couple of times. There's no limit to how many times you can go back and forth with the buyer and the seller, but I would caution that you have an irrevocable date. So, as a buyer, I give a seller an offer. And if he doesn't like the terms or the price, that seller will counter, and there's an irrevocable date. There's a date which says, I'm giving you this counter, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I want a response by 9 p.m. And if you don't respond by 9 p.m. in writing to the sales rep, then there's no contract. And the reason this is important is that even though we're going back and forth and that kind of negotiation is coming back to some normalcy in this market, you have to be very, very careful as a buyer that and know that every time you counter back to the seller, a different buyer can come in now and also want to write an offer. So you're going back and forth, and the buyer gives a counter back to the seller, and then it's not uncommon for there's another buyer who comes in, and the sales rep will call and say, listen, you gave us a counter, but now we have another offer coming in, so now you're competing. And so you will have an opportunity to change your price. So just keep in mind that while it's normal to go back and forth, every time you make a change, something can happen. And equally the seller can counter back to the buyer, and the buyer may decide that, you know what, the seller's not being reasonable, we're going to walk away. So every time you touch that offer, know that something can happen. So think about what you're doing very, very carefully. No, it's no question that the market is coming back to some kind of normalcy when it comes to the process. But make no mistake, we are still in a seller's market. We only have 1.3 months of inventory, and as I often say, we need to hit 5 to get into a balanced market. Days on the market is up to 22 days, so we do see that the interest rates has affected our market in that it's taking longer for properties to sell. So I hope you find this helpful. Enjoy the long weekend. Good luck to everyone who's going back to school. Remember that the fall market is the second busiest market of the year, so it's not too late to make a move before the year closes. As always, you can reach me at Dorothy Godin at remax.net or 705-561-2360. Have a great weekend.